There are stories that travel through time like winds sweeping over mountains and valleys. Some are mere whispers, forgotten over the ages. Yet others, they remain alive, echoing in the pages of human memory. Among these is the tragedy of Troy, a tale of heroism, betrayal, and fate, as ancient as the gods themselves. Listen closely, for today I recount how this city of golden walls met its ruin. Troy was a magnificent city, built with the aid of immortals, whose walls seemed to touch the heavens and whose gates stood unyielding to any assault. But like all greatness that challenges the gods, its fall had been foreordained long before its walls ever rose. Its end began with a rejected invitation, a small gesture that ignited the wrath of a goddess. During the wedding of Peleus and Thetis, when all the immortals had gathered in celebration, Eris, the goddess of discord, was left out. In vengeance, she cast a golden apple upon the feast, gleaming like the sun, bearing the inscription, "For the fairest." The dispute between Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite over the possession of the fruit divided the heavens, and mankind's fate was thrown into the hands of the gods. The choice was given to a mortal, Paris, a prince of Troy who had lived as a shepherd on the hills, for a prophecy had foretold that he would bring ruin to his people. The goddesses approached, each offering a gift that might alter his fate. Hera promised him power and dominion over the lands of men. Athena offered wisdom and victory on the battlefield. But it was Aphrodite who captured Paris's heart, promising him the love of Helen, the most beautiful woman to ever walk the earth. And so, Paris journeyed to Sparta, where he found Helen, wife of Menelaus, the king. Enchanted by her beauty, he took her with him to Troy. Like a breeze that steals the last autumn leaf, Menelaus's fury knew no bounds, and he called upon the kings of Greece to aid him in reclaiming his honor and queen. Under the leadership of Agamemnon, the heroes of Greece assembled: Odysseus, the cunning; Achilles, the invincible; and Ajax, the giant. Their forces were mighty, and their purpose clear. The war began, and the sands of the Trojan shore grew red with the blood of men and heroes. For 10 long years, the walls of Troy held firm, as though the gods themselves were protecting them. On the battlefield, the Trojans were valiant, led by their king Priam, who, though a wise ruler, saw his kingdom sink into the waters of destruction. Hector, his son, was Troy's greatest defender. He wielded his spear with unmatched strength and led the men with courage, while the Greek forces, with Achilles at the forefront, launched relentless assaults. Yet the war dragged on, and the forces on both sides began to wane. Hunger, suffering, and frustration became constant companions. The soldiers, once driven by honor and glory, now fought for something far simpler: survival. But Troy did not yield. Its walls, towering and sacred, remained standing. The city seemed to defy the very laws of the universe, as if the gods were, somehow, protecting it. But as the end of the war drew nearer, a new player entered the scene. Odysseus, the most cunning man in Greece, began to devise a plan that would change the course of history. Odysseus had always been a master of words and strategy. Unlike other heroes who sought direct combat, Odysseus knew that true power lay in the mind and in patience. It was he who conceived the idea of the Trojan Horse, a strategy that would combine the spirit of war with guile. "Let us build a horse," he said. "Not an ordinary horse, but one that is as large as a mountain, an offering to the gods. Hide our best warriors within its belly and pretend to leave. Leave the horse as a gift, a symbol of surrender. And then let us wait for the gates to open. the Greek leaders were hesitant. The plan seemed absurd. How could a wooden horse bring down a city that had withstood all attacks thus far? Yet, Odysseus's confidence in his ability to deceive and the belief that cunning could outweigh strength prevailed. They worked night and day, carving a colossal horse, intricately decorated and meticulously crafted, as if it had been shaped by the gods themselves. When the horse was finally ready, the Greek warriors hid inside, prepared for the moment of their revelation. At dawn, the Greek army, exhausted and defeated, pretended to withdraw. The ships that had invaded the shores of Troy sailed off in silence, disappearing over the horizon. The Trojans, seeing the empty battlefield, felt a wave of relief. It seemed that the war had finally come to an end. And then, the wooden horse appeared before the city gates, a gift from the victors. The city of Troy erupted in celebration. The last vestige of resistance had been destroyed, and now peace seemed within reach. But not everyone was content. The priest Glaucon, suspicious, tried to warn his people. He cried out, his voice filled with dread, "Beware of Greeks, even when they bring gifts." But his cries were drowned out by the fear and hope of the Trojans. His children were killed by serpents sent by Poseidon, a punishment from the gods for attempting to thwart fate. And so, the Trojans, blind with faith in their own eyes, brought the horse into the city, believing they had won. That night, as the city rejoiced in what seemed to be victory, the Greek warriors emerged from the horse's belly and opened the gates. The Greeks, who had returned, flooded the city while its inhabitants slept, unprepared and overconfident. The streets of Troy, once vibrant with splendor, became a field of destruction. Flames consumed the city as the Greek forces, now fueled by vengeance, looted and destroyed everything of value. Slowly, the golden walls that had seemed impenetrable crumbled. Troy, once the jewel of the ancient world, was reduced to ash and ruin. King Priam, the last bastion of Trojan dignity, fell beneath the blades of the invaders. His people were slaughtered, and in the end, all that remained was the memory of a lost city consumed by ambition and arrogance. Helen, the woman whose love sparked the war, was taken back to Sparta not as a victorious queen, but as a piece in a game that could never be undone. Odysseus, the mastermind behind the plan, sailed home to his island, where his own journey of suffering and adventure awaited. But he knew his fame would be immortalized, as would the trick that destroyed Troy. But did it all unfold as the stories say? The ruins of Troy, unearthed by Heinrich Schliemann in the 19th century, reveal that indeed there was a city and a war. But the Trojan horse may have been more a metaphor for an infiltration strategy, a symbol of deceit rather than a physical weapon. It matters not. What endures in human memory is not only the facts, but what they represent. The legend of Troy, then, is not just about the city that fell. It is about what humanity learned from its fall, that overconfidence in one's own strength can be fatal, that even the gods bow to the unyielding course of fate. But at the same time, it teaches us that wit, courage, and perseverance can sometimes be more powerful than any stone wall. So, traveler, what do you think? Was the Trojan horse a masterstroke of strategy or the vilest of betrayals? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe, for many more stories await to be told. Until our next journey,